It is time from race 2 from Bathurst, the Wednesday series of Zero Racing. Mark Klapzul lead from the pole. Not going to bother with the grid walk because of the difficulties in Bathurst. And let's get rolling. Klapzul starting on the pole from Quintus Gillespie, Mike Mark, and Rick Martel are on row 2. Let's see how it goes. And they are off, and Dean Reimers is left on the grid once again. Mark Klapzul setting up to go down the inside into turn 1, but Quintus Gillespie is going around the outside into the lead in his Porsche. So it's Gillespie leading the way from Klapzul, who is being challenged by teammate Mike Mark. It looks like Mark is going to get through. And he does. Mike Mark up into second place. Grant Patolo also coming through in the Nissan there. Great start from him. He's up to P3. Martin Lauer down the inside of Mark Klapzul, who is absolutely helpless right now and can't seem to get any pace going. In the background, we have an accident. Rick Martel getting spun around. Richard DeRoche, I believe, involved in the accident as well. Let's have a look at what happened there. Setting up the hill, he's got Darcy Parkinson and Rick Martel. It looks like Klapzul actually spun around and started this. And the collision there, Rick Martel trying to avoid it. He gets collected. DeRoche gets collected. And they will fall to the back of the pack. Dean Reimers back on the start line. So Gillespie has gotten away in the lead. He's got Mike Mark on his tail. They've gotten a good gap actually to Grant Patolo in the Nissan. 4th place for Martin Lauer. 5th place for Alexander Hayes. 6th place for Darcy Parkinson. 7th place for Jason Mons. 8th place for Alan Angel. 9th for Stefan Gervais. And 10th for Alessio DeBonis. Those are your points paying positions. Mike Magasevich, Dule Markovic, Rick Martel, Mark Klapzul, and Richard DeRoche are still running. DeRoche putting the pressure on Mark Klapzul, and he will get by into 13th position. Or 14th position, actually, of the 15 running cars. Still in the lead is Gillespie. He leads the way for the Vortex Mafia crew from Spitfire Racers, Mike Mark, and the Renmax racing car of Grant Patolo. Then it is Dynamo Lynx Martin Lauer in the Audi, followed by the Mako car, the McLaren 650S of Darcy Parkinson, and Alexander Hayes in the Project Velocity Audi. Then it is Jason Mons in the Redline Porsche, Stefan Gervais in the Project Velocity Audi, Alessio DeBonis in the Sox car, the 3rd Spitfire car of Alan Angel cutting across the track there. Mike Magasevich for Redline is battling with the Artemis Porsche of Dule Markovic, and he's going to lose 11th place. The 2nd Mako car of Rick Martel is in 12th, 13th for DeRoche and Manticore, 14th for 13th, 14th, 15th for Mark Klapzul, and Dean Reimers has been left at the start-finish line once again. 2 races in a row for him. The top 4 are making a getaway. Top 5. It is Gillespie, followed by Mike Mark, followed by Patolo, followed by Lauer, and followed by Parkinson. They are getting away. In the meantime, Jason Mons prying 6th place away from Alexander Hayes, Porsche versus Audi. Hayes not going away, and he does manage to get the 44 car back up on the inside, but it is going to be, maybe. Let's see here. Hayes managing to hold it, squeezing Mons into the wall, and for now will hold on to 6th place. Magasevich going hard into the wall there. Alan Angel has dropped back to 13th position. Under pressure from Rick Martel now is Magasevich. Martel having a pretty disappointing race. Started on the front row, on the 2nd row, and is running in 12th position at the moment. Angel under pressure from DeRoche, who was also caught up in the accident that put Martel behind, as well as Mark Klapzul. In the meantime, Patolo has gotten by Mike Mark and is aiming to get into the lead of the race. He's lining up a shot here. We've also lost Martin Lauer by the looks of it. He's either dropped off the back end of this or has had a serious moment. Patolo is into the lead ahead of Gillespie. In the background, Darcy Parkinson also looking to make a move on Mike Mark for 3rd place, and he's through with the McLaren 650S. Pressure trying to come back from Gillespie. Mons is up into 5th place. 6th place for Gervais. 7th for DeBonis. 8th for Alex Hayes, who's fallen way back. Then it's Dule Markovic and Mike Magasevich in the points. Rick Martel, Richard DeRoche, Alan Angel, Mark Klapzul, and to the very back is Martin Lauer. He must have had a spin. So in the lead now is the Renmax Racing Nissan GTR, the Nismo, the Godzilla of Grant Patolo. Looking for his first zero victory. He has Gillespie on his tail, followed by Darcy Parkinson, who's been coming through the grid at a very solid rate for the Apex Maico team. Mike Mark is in 4th place, followed by Jason Mons, the championship leader, looking to make his move. He has on his tail Stefan Gervais. Then it is Alessio DeBonis, Alexander Hayes, and follow that up from Dule Markovic, Mike Magasevich, Rick Martel, Richard DeRoche, Alan Angel, and Mike Klapzul with Martin Lauer on a recovery drive from the back of the grid. Gillespie is starting to become the cork in the bottle. He's holding up Parkinson and allowing Patolo to scramble away in the Nissan. In the meantime, in the background, it looks like Jason Mons has taken 4th place away from Mike Mark. Alex Hayes is up to 6th. Markovic 7th. 8th for Gervais, who's had a problem. 9th for Magasevich. 10th for Martel. 11th for Richard DeRoche, who's looking to make a move into the top 10. In the background, there is the 12th place car of Alan Angel. We seem to have lost the Sox Racing RUF of Alessio DeBonis in the meantime. Mike Magasevich trying to make a move, but that's opening the door for DeRoche. He's going down the inside. He could not hold it. Cutting across the track. Gervais is going to go through. DeRoche's through. Martel is through. He will rejoin behind Alan Angel. Martin Lauer in the background has taken Mark Klapzul. Alessio DeBonis is still running, but has definitely had a problem. Not sure what happened to the RUF, the Porsche tuned by RUF of Sox Racing. It was in the points and looking very solid, but it is moving very slowly now. What has happened to the Italian's car? Has the engine just given out? He was running with Alex Hayes and Stefan Gervais. And it looks like there's probably a collision here with Gervais. So he's running up behind. He's running in 7th place behind Mike Mark and Stefan Gervais. Jason Mons also there at the front of the pack. Gervais just kind of loses it, and so does he. There's no contact between the cars. Just absolutely problems that he must have done something to the engine, because when we picked him up, he was absolutely just cruising down the hill. So yeah, and from that point onwards, just not moving well. Patolo in the lead, followed by Gillespie, who's under pressure from the Apex Maico car of Darcy Parkinson. Now the McLaren 650S, not the strongest in a straight line, more of a handling car, so his chance will be more or less on the hill. Currently running in a Porsche sandwich with the Vortex Mafia car in front of him and the Redline Porsche behind him in 4th place. Speaking of which, we're getting to the uphill section. Parkinson looking to go on the attack around the outside. He's going to run out of real estate there. And that's going to open up the door for Jason Mons to put the pressure on him, which is going to suit Gillespie just fine. But Gillespie goes wide! There is contact! Gillespie's still holding it. A little bit of rough stuff. This is also bringing the Corvette of Mike Mark into play. Looks like Alessio DeBonis is parked and retired. Grant Patolo is still in the lead. And Gillespie is buying him a lot of time because he is holding up Parkinson, Mons, Mark, and Hayes back in 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Porsche, McLaren, Porsche, Corvette, and Audi. 7th belongs to Dule Markovic. He is the top Silver Cup car at the moment. He is followed by Richard DeRoche, who's had a reasonable recovery to 8th place. Stefan Gervais is in 9th place. That's another Silver Cup entry. 3rd place in the Silver Cup is Mike Magasevich. He's 10th place overall in the points, just hanging on against Martin Lauer. We know Martin Lauer is fast. He's had to come back from the back of the pack, and he's up to 11th place. 12th is Alan Angel. 13th is Mark Labzul, and 14th, Rick Martel. They are the surviving cars. We had 16, but we have lost Dean Reimers and Alessio DeBonis. We're on lap 5 of 8 here. Still leading the way is Grant Patolo. Parkinson and Mons have gotten past Gillespie. Let's see. That happened long enough ago that the standings have not updated. Alex Hayes has also gotten up past Mike Mark into 5th place. Good work for the Project Velocity Audi, which has had a bit of a mixed day. The team as a whole has, of course, with Wesley Stokes having retirement in race 1 and being unable to take the grid in race 2, has left it entirely on Hayes and Stefan Gervais to bring home the bacon. Magasevich still holding off Martin Lauer in a fierce battle for the final points-paying position. You got to think that Magasevich cannot hold on to this place over the course of the remaining 4 laps, because the delta in performance between these two cars is exceptional. Magasevich a non-point scorer in race 1. Mark Labzul leading his teammate Alan Angel and Rick Martel at the back of the pack. Grant Patolo having a pretty boring race out front. It was the efforts of Quintus Gillespie to hang on to 2nd that bought him a lot of time, and now it is him leading Parkinson and Mons. Gillespie down to 4th position, losing ground to Alex Hayes and to Mike Mark, the 5th and 6th place cars. The comeback of Richard DeRoche continues. He's now up on the back of the Silver Cup leader, Dule Markovic, 7th place car for Artemis Sport, Porsche 911. The Manticore Mercedes putting the pressure on. And it is Gervais, the closest Silver Cup car to him, in 9th place. Very banged up front end for the Audi. And Martin Lauer has gotten past Mike Magasevich up into 10th position. There it is, Klapzul. Rick Martel has taken a spot off of Alan Angel. A little bit banged up car himself. See the damage to the bonnet, as well as the headlight there. On lap 6 of 8. Still in the lead is Grant Patolo. Darcy Parkinson, Jason Mons largely have settled down for 2nd and 3rd. Gillespie is under pressure from Hayes, who's gotten away from Mike Mark a little bit. I think the Corvette has probably made a mistake. And Hayes makes a big mistake. That's going to cost him. He manages to rejoin ahead of Mike Mark stunningly. I'm a little bit surprised by that. And retains 5th position. Markovic still holding off against DeRoche, but we're heading into the 3rd sector where the Mercedes have been pretty strong. Martin Lauer, Mike Magasevich are now ahead of... Someone has dropped to the back end. It is Stefan Gervais, who was in 9th place. 2nd place amongst the Silver Cup cars. Looks like the Audi has gone off. Wasn't particularly racing anybody, so I don't know who he would have collected. Very banged up front end for Gervais's Audi. It's like he just loses control of it. Taking a brief moment here to check out the damage to his car. Very banged up front end for Stefan Gervais. Somewhat lucky that that car is still running. Pretty flawless race though from the Nissan of Renmax Racing. Grant Patolo completing his 6th lap. He has the 7th and 8th to go. I get the feeling he is losing time to Darcy Parkinson and to Jason Mons, who I think are a little bit faster than him, but I don't know if they really have the time. I don't think they can close that gap in 2 laps. Gillespie still in 4th ahead of Hayes, who's under pressure from Mike Mark after his incident on the hill. Other man under pressure is Dule Markovic in 7th place, being pressured by Richard DeRoche. DeRoche's Mercedes a little banged up from a first lap incident. He's been on the comeback since. Artemis Sport versus Manticore. 2 teams that recently expanded their operation. The Artemis team adding Tom LaBeouf, and the Manticore Racing team adding Joe Miller to their roster. Wish the absolute best for both those racers. Martin Lauer is in 9th place. You got to feel like he expected a little bit more out of this race. Mike Magasevich is in 10th. And in 11th place, it is Mark Klapzul ahead of Rick Martel and Alan Angel. And then it looks like Stefan Gervais has parked and retired. Rough round for the Project Velocity guys. DNF in the first race for Wesley Stokes. Did not start here. Now we have a DNF for Stefan Gervais. They are getting a solid run from Alex Hayes in 5th place, but that's about it. Pressure is on from the battle for 2nd here. Jason Mons wants to get past Darcy Parkinson. The championship leader is going to do it. As we said, the McLaren is not terribly strong in the 3rd sector. Quintus Gillespie still running in a very solid 4th position. Hayes, Mike Mark, still holding off Richard DeRoche is Dule Markovic doing a fantastic job, the Silver Cup leader. A bit of the caster's curse as he goes off. And that is going to allow the Mercedes to have a very good run into the final corner and easily get the job done. That's 7th place for the banged up car of DeRoche. Being asked to play Dota, that's the sound you're hearing. Martin Lauer still in 9th place. Mike Magasevich, the final points paying position. Mark Klapzul, Rick Martel, Alan Angel. Rounding off the field, we are down to 13 cars with the losses of Reimers, Gervais, and DeBonis. Mons is going to be on the pressure here for the last lap, facing off against the car of Darcy Parkinson. It looks like Mons is getting away from Parkinson. Doesn't seem to really have an answer for him. I think Gillespie's pretty solid too. Hayes is pretty solid. Mike Mark rubbing up against the wall again. DeRoche just got past Markovic. I don't think Markovic really has anything to come back at him with. Then it is Lauer and Magasevich rounding off the top 10. Klapzul, Martel, and Angel finishing off the field. We'll ride to the end with Grant Patolo. He's not been the fastest car, but he got past Gillespie at the right time and utilized the cork in the bottle effect there to get a lead that he has held. Jason Mons and Darcy Parkinson have both had the faster cars and have been eating their way home. But I believe it is going to be Grant Patolo who takes home victory here at home in Bathurst. The Australian crowd will go absolutely crazy for the Aussie. Patolo rounds the final turn and crosses the finish line to take victory. Here in race 2, Jason Mons is second, followed by Darcy Parkinson. Quintus Gillespie led this race for a while. He'll end up 4th ahead of Alexander Hayes. 6th place for Mike Mark, who's had a bit of a weekend to forget, really, or a bit of a round to forget here. Richard DeRoche is going to finish in 7th place ahead of the top Silver Cup finisher, Dule Markovic. Martin Lauer, a forgettable second race. Pretty decent comeback through the grid to 9th after some early problems. Mike Magasevich, non-points finisher in race 1. He'll be happy to take a single point and 2nd in Silver Cup. 3rd in the Silver Cup is Mark Klapzul. 4th is Alan Angel. They are the 4 that survived. Dean Reimers and Stefan Gervais out of the race, along with Alessio DeBonis. Rick Martel also finishing. That is the race, everybody. They pack it up and head to Portimao for the next round of the Zero Championship.